All right, Lucas Dolan.
Here.
Steve Thomas is absent. Stephen Lutz.
Yep.
I'm here. Alex Bliscoe.
Yep.
Jeremiah Soto.
He outside.
He's right there.
He outside.
Jenny Pareda.
Here.
Rachel Marzon.
Here, present.
Alyssa Hyde.
Here.
Rick Bueno is excused. Kyle Kwame.
Here.
Kimberly Tran. Nathan Ross. Pierre Molitor.
Here.
Victoria Barassi. Was a former student, right? Liz Casperson. Rachel Escott is excused. La Tao.
Here.
Amina Mose.
Here.
Evelyn Peckus.
Here.
Amani Callow. Libby Alex is excused. Alex Serrano.
There he is.
Kate McAllen.
Here.
Colin Charles excused. Kenny No. Kenny. Kyle Evans.
Here.
Callie Sabella.
Here.
Sarah Belisi.
Here.
Mr. Secretary, is there a quorum present?
Yes.
All right. Well, hello everyone. Corbin is at a scholarship luncheon today, so that's why I'm running the GA. This will be the only time this happens, but it should be a little bit of fun. So, moving right into executive board reports, we'll start. This week was a little bit slow. Next week there's going to be a lot more happening, but two major things that I did this week were to create the HUSC scholarship application, which is now on the website and available for students, and to work with Alyssa on drafting the language for the new bylaw amendment that we're going to be bringing forward today. So Corbin's not here. Greg is at the MPERG fee committee meeting, so he's not here either. So Alyssa, you're next.
This week I met with Greg to help draft some EAC bylaw amendments that will be proposed during this GA regarding that. I also met with Patty Klein to discuss RHA's role in HUSC. I'll be meeting with Javier later this week or early next week to also do that. I will be proposing a bylaw change for the bylaw passage procedure during this GA. My office hours this will be from 1 to 4 p.m. I have an event during condo hours on Thursday. And PAC will not meet next week.
Miko.
I finally met with alumni relations. That was really good. So basically we are starting to plan out a reunion for next year. We're trying to gather information to decide whether or not it is HUSC centennial next year, or if we're actually turning 90 next year. So we're trying to figure that information out. In the future, what I'll need is a committee of about 4 or 5 HUSC members to serve on the HUSC reunion committee. So if you're interested in working with alum, throwing a big event for HUSC alumni and HUSC members, as we think about it, it'll be something that we'll talk about in the future if you're interested. Other than that, I'm meeting with the IR department this Thursday to discuss surveying and to see if we can do a possible collaboration between HUSC and the Research Development Office on campus.
All right, Stephen.
I'm just finishing paying off all the bills for the Diversity Summit. Amina and I have our second bookstore committee meeting today. I think it's at 4. And then last, I won't have office hours on Thursday because I have something else I have to go to. So, yeah.
Jenny.
We have decided, my committee have decided that the OLARC meeting will be December 8th at 4:30 in class K graduates, that's me, right? Also, today I'll be presenting the advocacy amendment. Yeah. And my committee will be meeting today.
Yeah, it was not.
Well, you heard me, right?
Yeah, everyone make sure the microphone is on, and you have to have it pretty close to you for it to pick up.
It's not working.
Yeah, that mic's not working.
Okay. Okay. Jeremiah.
Wonderful. I guess most of my report constitutes of what we covered in BER, which we had 2 different students come in to present their ideas. Michael Martin and Evan Hansen. Both of them wanted something a little bit different. Michael Martin wanted to propose that HUSC organize something along the lines of getting to know community members rather than just organizations. And Evan Hansen wanted to update the movies in the libraries so it pertains to classes as well as ethnic movies and other different things. So there's a committee that's working with them on that. And we also have a few other capital improvements that we've been working on. And there's a change in the kiosk project due to the fact that Dan Mulder will no longer be a junior representative for next year. He's studying abroad, so Amina Mos is going to be taking over his position on that project with Amani Cowell. And the rest of the other projects are still in progress. So, end report.
Rachel.
All right, can people hear me?
Yeah.
All right, welcome. As always, there are free mugs and bottles. If you still don't have one, feel free to grab one. Just to kind of give you a recap for what's going on with me, the November 26th, the diversity initiatives topic here for GA, promotions for that are up. And again, we're looking for more topics for General Assembly, so if you have any issues on campus you'd like brought up, feel free to come talk to me, and we'll make a whole topic or discussion for a GA about that. My committee is currently brainstorming new marketing and communication ideas, so that's what we'll be focusing on in our next meeting. Business cards, I have them made and ordered. They will be ordered during my office hours. All reps and board name tags have finally been distributed. And a reminder that the HUSC has a Relay for Life team, and you can still sign up. If you need details, feel free to ask me after General Assembly. And I'm currently also making promotions for the December 3rd GA, in which President Hansen will be here. So for all reps or people who want to attend that day, be thinking of questions to ask her. So, thank you.
Alex.
Okay, so Alex, concerning your concern with the PlayStation 3s in common areas on campus, I'm in contact with Brian Johnson concerning that. It should be relatively easy to put sleepouts on those devices, so that should be good. As Lucas stated earlier, the HUSC scholarship application is on the website, so everybody wants to take a look at that, go for it. It's a relatively easy application and very nice application. There's a new contingency application on the website. I uploaded that for Greg. And one final thing is, so Google Groups are now supported by Hamlin, and student organizations and groups of students can use them now. The one caveat to that is that there has to be some kind of faculty or staff person associated with the group. And myself and Milian Trulove are actually working on it so that student groups or groups of students don't necessarily have to have some kind of staff member part of the group, because let's say an intramural team wanted to easily communicate with each other through email, they don't have a person to put as their staff or faculty member. So there'll be more updates about that in the report.
All right. Moving into administrative reports now, neither Wendy or Dean Sickford is here today, so I guess we'll just go over that. There's no unfinished business from last week, but we have a lot of new business to take care of today. So first of all, we'll be talking about appointment to Diversity Service Committee is Taylor Johnson. Okay. Miko, I'm not allowed to make motions in the meeting while I'm chairing the meeting, but I did submit a written request to Miko.
So the written request from President Dolan says, Mr. Secretary, I nominate Taylor Johnson to serve as the student representative for the ASD 505 Disability Services Committee.
Yes.
Right. He sent this yesterday.
Yeah. So that, just so everyone is clear, that is the equivalent of a motion as far as
Second.
parliamentary procedure goes. So a motion has been made and seconded to appoint Taylor Johnson as the student representative to the diversity, there's a typo in here. It's supposed to say disability services. But anyway, to appoint Taylor Johnson to the Disability Services Committee, is there any discussion? Representative Amos.
Can we get a little introduction? No.
Excuse me, what did you say? I
Can
sorry.
we get an introduction from Taylor on what the committee is? I haven't.
Taylor, if you'd like to talk a little bit about it and yourself and what you do, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I am currently a worker under Kathy McGilvery at Disability Resources. This is my second year there. I've been asked to be a part of the committee as a student rep, and basically the committee is made up of staff and faculty who want to find ways to make access much more easier for those with visible and non-visible disabilities. Like myself, I have a non-visible disability. I have epilepsy. You can't see it in my physical appearance. But we want to make it so everyone who has any type of disability can have full access to whatever they need on campus. That's basically the rundown of it.
Representative Amos.
Since Alex seconded, do we vote yay now? Yay or nay?
The proper procedure is for the motion to be made, seconded, and then for discussion to be had. So when there's no further discussion, then we'll vote. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on the motion is to appoint Taylor Johnson to the Disability Services Committee. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right. All those opposed? All right. The motion prevails. All right, now we're moving into bylaw amendment section. So, Jenny, I think, Alyssa, are you involved in this at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to both present it?
Whoever's going to present this, please come forward at this time. All right.
Sure. So this is an amendment that we did, me and Alyssa. It's for the advocacy organization. We basically wanted to define what advocacy organization is. So whereas advocacy organizations are important to the Hammond community, whereas the definition of advocacy, an advocacy organization is not clearly defined in the bylaws, whereas a clearly definition of an advocacy organization is needed, whereas the advocacy organization's purpose are to create awareness to other students, where the new advocacy definition follows the non-discriminating clause of HUSC Constitution, whereas the new definition does not limit future advocacy organizations. Therefore, be it resolved, the General Assembly amend the HUSC bylaw to define advocacy organization. It be further resolved that these changes be effective immediately after the adaptation by the General Assembly.
Okay, so basically how we define what an advocacy group is we took the diversity clause in all of the chartered orgs constitutions that they're required to have and listed those. So basically what it says now is an advocacy group will bring awareness to one or more of the following groups: age, gender, ethnicity, social status, physical or mental impairment, sexual orientation, veterans, or additional issues of social justice or social change. So basically, we're just defining what an advocacy group is, so there's no question about whether this org is an advocacy or not. So we're just defining it. We're not changing anything. We're just adding.
Representative Arana.
I was just wondering if you had at least considered maybe putting something about native religion on this list.
You have a question?
Can you, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just wondering if it had been considered to perhaps include religion or creed on this list.
Religion or what?
Creed.
Oh, creed. Well, we thought about that, but I also I've been talking to, this wasn't on there, but the student, the new student, not the student worker, the new staff in the Wesley Center, he's actually kind of focusing on like bringing in more religious and creed organizations to the Wesley Center, not necessarily to be part of other student organizations, and that's kind of why we didn't. I mean, I think we're open to it, but that's kind of my reasoning for not putting it on there, because he is trying to get more religious organizations to be part of the Wesley Center rather than through HUSC. They're still being funded, they still get money from other places, but that's kind of my reason.
Also, we met with Wendy actually to discuss what should be on here, and that this was also her suggestion of what she would consider an advocacy group is. We're open to adding religion, we just want some more thought on it. For more discussion.
All right, Representative No.
Seeing as this pertains to me, many of the organizations that would fit under advocacy also fit under the Multicultural Alliance. So there hasn't been a clear division between the two. And I've talked to Victoria about this before, but I think would the organizations that fall under the Multicultural Alliance who align with the definition of an advocacy org also pertain to me?
What I would say, I think you guys should definitely combine, because I know a lot of them do pertain to both, and some of them only pertain to one. So I can definitely see you guys working together, you know, to put them together, have meetings put together, because I know a lot of them do overlap, and some not necessarily, some are specifically just for advocacy, and I wouldn't want to say have two different meetings for both of them, because a lot of them do overlap. So I would say it would be okay for you guys to work together. If you guys want to define it even further or make them pick one, that'll be up to you guys, how you guys see it fit.
Just to clarify, this position already exists. We're not like creating a new position. So if we can always create another amendment clarifying each position's roles. But this is just who is next.
I mean, I'm aware of this, but thank you, because I am the advocacy representative, so it was just a point of information.
Yeah. And I think it'll be okay for, because there is one that pertains to both, so it's okay that they overlap.
All right, Representative Picos.
I agree that religion should be represented.
All right, Technology Coordinator Kliska.
Don't say that. That's really long. So I would like to propose a motion to amend these changes and add the line of religion or creed to the list under section A. Yes.
A motion has been made and seconded to add the line religion or creed to this list. Is there any discussion of this motion? Representative Kwame.
Well, I just kind of have a question with what Jenny you were saying about the Wesley Center. Is the Wesley Center opposed to having us include religion on this list, or is it a conversation that hasn't occurred yet regarding like the advocacy group on campus?
So I guess it's kind of what the organization would do, because if it's a multi-faith organizations, like we already have multi-faith ones, and they I don't know if it's just like to come together and talk about your own religion, or if it's actually to bring awareness of other people of your religion. It's kind of two different things. If you kind of just want to organize and have meetings about one thing, it's one thing, but then to put the awareness of issues because of this religion or whatever, I think would be a different thing, in my perspective. And I've also, like, his name is Noor, and if you guys talked to him, he wants to bring more organizations that deal with religion and create to the Wesley Center, because they offer a lot more resources to them than we can as a student organization, because they connect with the Hamlin community outside of Hamlin University, and they can help bring other people and stuff like that. So he kind of does want it to be more for Wesley Center, but we do have religion and multi-faith organizations chartered by HUSC already.
Alex and then Jeremiah.
So I think to some extent we should respect the Wesley Center's wishes, but at the same time we have organizations that are based around religion or creed, and to not have them associated with this list I think doesn't make any sense.
It's like exactly what I was gonna say.
All right, Representative Molitor.
If there's a current student organization who, I guess, could be like recognized under that list if they added religion, is like the group required to identify as an advocacy org in such case? It's like optional, correct?
Yeah, I feel like one thing that we talked to Wendy about was like the organization must identify as an advocacy organization. It doesn't matter who, even if you do anything, you must identify as an advocacy organization. So we're definitely, if you don't identify as one, you do not have to be part of this group.
Okay.
Alyssa.
Just a clarification, in order to be an advocacy rep, you have to be an advocacy org, but if you identify one of these, you don't have to be an advocacy.
Is there any Representative now? Was your hand raised?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I think having it be optional is extremely confusing in terms of who I am supposed to represent.
Point of order, we still have to discuss the motion on the table and then vote on that motion.
I guess overruled because I think that was I think it was pursuant to the motion because he's discussing whether or not adding religion to the list and how that would. Representative Molitor.
Going off what Kenny said, I agree with him, but at the same time, if we did add religion, for example, like the organization I represent has no desire to be an advocacy group, so I guess that's like one concern.
Jeremiah.
I would like to make a motion to limit discussion to 3 minutes on this topic, seeing as in we have other different business to talk about.
Okay, so this is a 2/3 vote to limit the discussion to 3 minutes. All in favor of limiting the discussion to 2 minutes? 3 minutes. Sorry. All right. All opposed. All right. Motion passes. The discussion will be limited to 3 minutes. Is there any further discussion? Rachel.
The only thing I can think of in my mind is if we don't currently have religious groups that qualify for advocacy, but if in the future a group did want to be an advocacy group for religion, is it something that this would then be open to if we, just discussion around that perhaps?
Let's Alyssa first.
Yes, they would be open to that. We have no control whether or not an org has to identify as an advocacy. That's a student involvement center, so it's optional through them. We do not control that, so that discussion does not really pertain to us. But if we added religion to here, they have the option of identifying as an advocacy rep for HUSC.
I'm going to let Rachel respond since it was directly.
So, to my understanding, just to clarify, if a group is currently under HUSC and is religious, right now, if they wanted an advocacy representative, they would not have one because it does not qualify within this list. They may not want one, but they won't. It's not even an option at this point, given the list.
Well, we have H is additional issues of social justice or social change, so technically they could make a claim for it, but if we stated religion, it would make it more clear and more obvious, hey, I can do this. So yes and no, depending on their argument.
Alex.
I think the option should exist for an organization that has certain religious or creed beliefs. If they would like to be an advocacy group, they can be. If they would not like to be, then they don't have to be. Just have it there because it covers all bases and it makes sense when you see a list like this to have religion or creed.
Jenny.
I just want to restate what I just said. So, if a religion organization is bringing awareness of issues that have been passing because of people being oppressed or something like that, that would be an advocacy organization. But if it or a multi-faith or any religious organization or period, it just wants to group together and talk about what it is, things like that, it's kind of different. So that's why I do not want it to be added. But if it, I think H is good because if it does talk about anything social problems or social changes, that would be followed even if it was a religious organization.
Okay, we've reached our time limit, so we're going to now vote on the motion. The motion on the table is to add religion or creed to this list. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Miko, you might have to count these. Please keep your hands up. Okay. All those opposed? You can.
12 yes, 10 opposed.
All right, so the motion passes. Just, I want to remind everyone that we're not trying to pass the final version of these of any of the bylaw amendments that we're putting forward today. These are just being introduced, and they're required to be tabled for a week. So they will be coming back again, and we have a lot to get through.
I motion to refer this to PAC.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All right. The motion has been made and seconded to refer this bylaw amendment and resolution to the PAC committee. All those in favor? All right. All those opposed? The motion prevails. Our next bylaw amendment today is for changing the bylaw amendment procedure. And PAC Chair Heim is going to present.
Okay, so basically the bylaw doesn't state a clear way of the bylaw procedure and how it gets passed and moved through. So actually the PAC committee developed this resolution as practice for when they have to do one, they'll know how. So whereas Chapter 21.01 bylaw amendments is vague, and whereas the procedure for the passage of amendments was unclear, and whereas this procedure is necessary for the function of HUSC, and whereas all students need to know the proposed bylaw amendments, and whereas they're able to express their opinions about these proposed amendments. Therefore, be it resolved, Chapter 21.01 bylaw amendments be updated so that the procedure for proposed amendments can be made clearer, and be it further resolved that all proposed amendments be posted outside the Student Congress office within 48 hours of introduction to inform students. Be it further resolved, the General Assembly vote on this resolution. Okay, so Lucas and I kind of did this together. We struck 21.01 totally and we created it. So this is what it will say. Subdivision 1, in order for the bylaws to be amended, the proposed amendment must first be introduced to the General Assembly. The proposed amendment must then pass a majority vote to be referred to PAC. After passage by PAC with a majority vote, the proposed amendment must then be recalled to the General Assembly. The proposed amendment must pass a 2/3 majority vote by the HUSC Council to become effective. PAC has the ability to amend or alter the proposed amendment as presented to the General Assembly. The version of the proposed amendment approved by PAC will be presented to the General Assembly. Subdivision 2, the original proposed amendment must be posted outside the Student Congress office within 48 hours of the introduction to the General Assembly. Subdivision 3, at the end of each semester, a copy of all approved amendments will be sent out to all undergraduate students via electronic campus mail.
Just to keep in line with parliamentary procedure, and since we're close for time, I'm going to ask that there be no discussion until there is a motion on the table. So, Alice, if you wanted to maybe just talk about what the old, how we checked what the old process was, or what it said, just so that people are clear. And then...
Okay, before it basically said that you introduce the amendment to the HUSC Council, and then we table it for a week and bring it back up the next GA. Well, that's really not what we do. We refer to PAC and then bring it up. There's no tabling really involved, except in special cases. Also, the second part to this, in this Subdivision 2 and Subdivision 3, is it was supposed to be posted 5 days outside the Student Congress office before voting takes place and sent out undergraduate students. Dean Sickberg said this wasn't really feasible as we pass bylaw amendments weekly and undergraduate students might get annoyed. So what we did instead is it will be posted outside the Student Congress office within 48 hours of introduction. So if it was introduced on Tuesday, it has to be posted by Thursday outside the Student Congress office. And then at the end of each semester, it will be all the past amendments will be sent out to all undergraduate students. So once a semester, they'll get an email of what changes HUSC has made. I motion that we refer this to PAC.
Second.
All right. A motion has been made to refer this amendment to PAC, the PAC committee. At this time, there will be discussion of the motion. Representative Brown.
I had a question just about the wording itself, so do you mind if I ask?
No, that's appropriate.
Okay, so am I to understand, or are we to understand rather, that what is stricken means that the students of the student body must know about the amendment beforehand, whereas the new subdivision says we have to alert them after we vote?
Is this a question for PAC Chair Heim?
Yes.
No. So basically, it did say that they need to know beforehand, 5 days in advance. And how we were doing that was you have to be posted outside the Student Congress office. We're still doing that. But instead of 5 days in advance, we're rewording it to say after introduction, it has to be posted within 48 hours.
Oh,
So kind of a time limit for the secretary to get it posted by. Kind of just rewording it, but in general, the same meaning behind it.
Alex.
So, I mean, basically, we're just outlining what we do right now, and just clarifies it. I'm in favor of tabling it, I mean, not tabling, excuse me, referring it to PAC, so that way we can go through the system.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on the question. The question is to refer this bylaw amendment and the accompanying resolution to the PAC committee. All those in favor? All right, thank you. All those opposed? The motion prevails. The amendment is referred to PAC. Okay. This is going to be sort of a difficult section because we're talking about some EAC bylaw amendments that were written by Greg. Greg is not here, so I'm going to rely on some of the EAC committee members to sort of give us some context. So the first one is the contingency fund amendment. Okay, so I'm going to allow Amin to give us a little bit of background of what and Stephen, if you would like, what the intention behind this was, and then at that point we'll discuss.
So we wanted to redo this because we wanted to make it more clear of who could not apply, but who this was for, the contingency and the challenge. Terms are kind of vague, so we added individuals or student organizations, current or prospective, because some orgs start after budgeting week and then they don't get funds, so that's kind of what this is for. And then we just clarified that since it says individuals can apply, you can't use it for your own tuition or loans or anything, just a little specification, and the rest of it is pretty much the same.
Alyssa?
Should I refer this to PAC first?
Well, I just was calling you raised your hand and I didn't know what you were.
Yeah, a point of order, all bylaw amendments, proposed bylaw amendments need to be shown in track changes for clarification purposes. So future, all of the bylaw amendments that anyone proposes, they need to be in track changes.
I believe the highlighted parts are things he changed. Our new stuff, I'm not sure if the old stuff would. I think that was just deleted. So I'm still going to allow this to be put before the assembly if people have a problem with that, you can vote against referring the amendment. Alyssa?
I motion to refer this to PAC.
Second. All right. Is there any discussion? The motion has been made and seconded to refer the contingency fund guideline amendment to the PAC committee. Is there any discussion of this?
I just have a question. Are we talking about this right here, or are we talking about the one with the track changes added to the, or this one right here?
Yeah. As it's been proposed, we would be referring this amendment as written. Alyssa?
PAC will do this in track changes. And then it'll be shown at the next GA when we do this in track changes.
Seeing no further discussion.
No, no.
Seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote to refer this amendment to the PAC committee. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion prevails. The amendment is referred to PAC. All right, the next amendment is the conference fund guidelines. I have to see if we get this. He has conference fund in here.
The conference fund.
Is that not an amendment? Okay, then there won't be a conference fund. That was a mistake. Okay, so the next one is the challenge grant amendment. Stephen.
So basically for the challenge grant, just the one thing we wanted to add was just to make it a little bit more clear. It didn't actually just physically say anywhere in the bylaws that you can't use challenge grant money to donate to an outside party, but that's something that we felt, we've always felt strongly about, that you shouldn't be able to take HUSC money and then just donate it to a charity or organization. So we just wanted to remain consistent and actually get that directly added in there. So the new change says grants awarded must be used only by the organization applying for the grant and cannot be donated to outside parties. This includes charities and political action groups.
Jeremiah.
Our point of information are all of the guidelines that are going to be proposed today in the highlighted version and not in track changes. If they are, then I motion to refer up the rest of the guidelines to PAC, so we don't have to go over the motion for every single guideline.
That's not a in order motion. We have to go through all of them and introduce them first. We can't just refer them without introducing them to the assembly. So PAC will go through and change the format, but we're still going to go over the content of the amendments. Alex.
My motion to refer this to PAC.
All in favor of referring the challenge grant guidelines amendment to the PAC committee? All those opposed? Motion prevails. The amendment is referred to PAC. This is our last bylaw amendment for the day. Okay. This amendment is regarding the alcohol funding policy.
Okay, so for the alcohol funding policy, the changes we decided to make, we changed, in the bylaws it was eligible at EX discretion. We changed it to ineligible for student organizations. And then for subdivision 2, we changed all organizations that plan events with alcohol use must follow the university's alcohol policy. So subdivision 2 is already in there. We just changed the wording a little bit. So I guess just the big change for this one is we changed student Congress chartered organizations are no longer eligible for alcohol funding.
Alex.
I motion to refer this to PAC.
Second. All right. Motion has been made and seconded to refer the alcohol funding policy amendment to the PAC committee. Is there any discussion of the motion? Alyssa.
Do we fund the senior party?
No. Wait. Yes.
Isn't there alcohol for senior party?
Yes.
Steven.
Or say all organizations that plan events with alcohol use follow the university's alcohol policy. So we would be following the alcohol policy for that.
Representative Emos. Okay. So is there any further discussion of the motion? All right. The motion is to refer this amendment to the PAC committee. All those in favor? All right. All those opposed? The motion prevails. The amendment is referred. Our final order of new business today is for the establishment of the HUSC commuter committee. So Jordan Clark, if you'd like to come forward at this time.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so for the past couple of weeks, we've been meeting with a small task force to help establish this commuter committee. And at the moment, I do still have before, while and after we establish it, 2 spots open for non-commuter undergrad students that aren't on HUSC. So if you are interested in that, approach me after this. But we're trying to establish this committee now after we've been meeting because we want to move forward with business and we need to be through HUSC in order to do that. So our goals that we have here are to research the commuter involvement impact on campus and on HUSC and to find ways that HUSC can increase its involvement. Wait, this is not the right one.
Yes, that's the old one.
Now that I'm looking at it.
This is the only one that I got, so let's check my email.
Yeah.
It was in Corbin's second email.
I accidentally sent the example one first, but this is not the right one.
Do you just want to pull up your email?
Yeah, I can do that.
I apologize, that's my fault.
Okay, so our legit goals that we have here are to identify and implement methods that will improve the commuter experience in Hamlin, and we focus these around 3 main points that we want to be doing once we start meeting through this. And to analyze the need for create a commuter connections organization, because there was one before that Becky Carbo ran, and I still have yet to talk to her about it, but that is part of my plans before we start meeting to meet with Becky and find out what we want to do with commuter connections and make it a real organization to be involved and not just kind of sitting around Anderson with a sign. And the second is to analyze the need for create a commuter rep position on HUSC for the 2014 spring semester, and to follow through with that for the rest of the semesters, and to analyze the need for and create a new commuter hub on campus. We've talked about various options, and we're looking to, in the future, being able to put a cool commuter hub in this old store and kitchen area, something like that. It's not set in stone yet. Of course, the committee has to be established and we'll be meeting about it. But if you have any questions on these, just let me know. And how do we move forward with this now, Lucas?
If you'd like to motion the creation of the committee, we can have that amendment discussed.
Okay, motion to create this committee on HUSC.
Second.
As written in the document.
Alright, so our motion that's been seconded is to approve the community committee with its stated goals and members that are on the board, as well as the end date. So this would sort of be the guiding document of the committee. At this point, if there's any discussion of the creation of the committee, that this would be the time. Representative Amos.
What, can we ask questions about specific goals?
Yeah, you can ask anything about the committee.
What were you looking for in the commuter hub that you can't find somewhere else? Like, what is the goal to find? Do you have an idea of what you want in the hub that isn't here already?
Yeah, when it comes to the commuter hub, this was more of just a broad, bigger picture thing that we were going to be doing, or trying to be doing. But if Evelyn and Tate know a lot about this too, so they can also answer questions if they wish. But the commuter hub, we were looking for just a place where people can go on campus and possible food options there and couches to nap on, and no one has to go to any weird sub-basements and buildings that are farther away from the action, things like that.
Evelyn, go ahead.
The main problem right now and the main reason we want this is because commuters can't afford to spend $12 a meal in Anderson. So it would be a nice option to have something that's on campus that is less than $12. So that's one of the big points.
Representative McAllen.
With the creation of a commuter hub, essentially one of the things that we want to implement inside it are like a kitchenette or a kitchen type thing that includes like a few stoves or something so that they can cook and refrigerate food rather than having to keep it in a buddy's dorm or not have it at all. Essentially, otherwise it's just supposed to be more like an extra lounge so that commuters have somewhere that they can come to rather than have to try to find a room inside the Anderson. The hub would obviously have better outlets or stuff like that so that it's not such a hassle to try to find a place to settle down between classes.
And also having the commuter name attached to it helps provide a lot more comfortability for commuters to come to a place and know that they're encouraged and welcome to be there.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion is to approve the commuter committee with under the guidelines of this document on the screen. All those in favor? All right. All of those opposed? The motion prevails and the HUSC commuter committee is created.
And Rachel and Kim will be in contact with you guys now. Sorry I wasn't before.
Okay, so I'm not going to take the time to go back up to the PowerPoint because that was our last order of business. So at this point, we are moving into open forum and announcements. So for open forum today, we were wanting to discuss, actually I can do this while I talk, but we were wanting to discuss our two special topics, GAs, that are coming up next week for the conversation about diversity changes, and then the following week with President Hansen coming in. And I thought it would be useful to sort of split our time between those two and just sort of prepare for that, and kind of if people have questions about what's happening to have a chance for those to be answered, but also just sort of just talk about them. So we'll start with the diversity GA next week if anyone has anything they want to say about that. Representative Amos.
I've heard about the diversity changes, but I'm not really sure what is going on as far as, like, I know we're rewriting some kind of diversity thing, but what are the changes that we're going to be discussing next week?
I don't know if that's appropriate for me to talk about this right now. As Wendy, would you be willing to sort of contribute a little bit to it, or should I just give my understanding of it? Okay, so my understanding and what we're going to be discussing is that there have been some responsibilities that have been shifted from the Hedgeman Center to the Office of Multicultural and Diversity Initiatives, which is ran by a faculty member who's the director of that office. Her name is Vina Deo. She's we're kind of just discussing what does that mean for the broader picture that those transitions are happening, and trying to bring in people who are involved in the conversation to explain what the purpose and intentions behind that are, and to sort of just give us more information on that, start a conversation. I've had a lot of students come up to me asking questions about it, so we want to give everyone a chance to sort of just get their input on it.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions about it? One thing that we talked about in executive board is that I assigned everyone to come with one question. So I think as many of you and as representatives, if you can come with at least one question, that would be good, so that it's not just awkward silence. So to think about it a little bit. If people would rather talk about the President Hansen GA, we can do that now. One thing I want to sort of preface the discussion by our intention with having this event is to focus on big picture issues. There's a lot of things on campus, for example, with the catering policy and things like that that are upsetting and that people are really concerned about. But that's really a policy between the Dean of Students and Dining Services Director, and they're the ones working on trying to find a solution to that. When we talk to the President, we want to focus on things that are big picture with like the direction of the university, because those are the type of things that she's involved in. So I'd ask that we keep the questions in the big picture. Does anyone have anything they want to say about President Hansen? Representative Evans.
So could we theoretically ask her like where the 20-year plan is going, like where we're at on that, or will she? Like,
Yeah,
what's on the table to discuss?
No, that's
with
certainly
President
something
Hansen?
you could bring up.
Okay.
And I just want to be clear that by big picture, I didn't mean necessarily in the future, because none of us are going to be here for more than 3 or 4 years, so it's perfectly okay to keep the questions within the short term. It's just a matter of the scope that I was speaking to. Anyone else? Okay. Well, if people don't want to discuss this, I guess we can just move into announcements. Unless anyone has anything for open discussion that they want to bring up. Is there any open discussion? Miko.
Please think about, well, never mind.
Please think about.
I'm waiting for, my thing is actually an announcement, not open discussion, so.
Okay. Yeah.
I can say a little bit more about some of the diversity stuff that's going on. Two things in particular that have been moved out of the Hedgeman Center with Carlos and under now Nina Dale. One is the NCORE program that happens here. Hamlin has had a very strong history of sending a team of people to the NCORE conference, the National Conference on Race and Ethnicity. That team would normally get selected in the spring. They would go through some training, then they would go to the national conference, and then when they come back to campus, they would do some additional work together and develop programs that would happen throughout the year around a variety of issues. For example, there's traditionally been an NCORE mini conference in January that they would sponsor here, and it's talked about things around issues of socioeconomics, the intersections of identity, how your race intersects with your gender, which also intersects with your sexual orientation, and how that plays out in the things that you experience on a daily basis to the changing demographics within the state of Minnesota. So now that that's moved out of Hedgeman, I believe, is one of the things that's moving out of Hedgeman and under Lena. I think a question could be what's happening with that, because that's the way that Hedgeman did it. It doesn't mean that that's the way Lena will run it. So that's one area, and then also from what I'm hearing, commitment to community is also moving from Hedgeman under Lena. And so that is technically a student organization, and so that could also be an area that people talk about, and especially with the HUSC, because if you in any way fund that organization, it might be interesting for us to understand any of the changes that she may see in making with that student organization, because that can have a direct impact on whether or not you continue to fund. So those are just a couple of tangible items that have been moved from the Hedgewood Center over into this new area.
So I'm just going to give people a chance if that sparks something that you want to say. Otherwise, we'll move on to announcements. All right, thank you, Wendy. So at this point, we'll have open announcements. Miko.
So again, I'm going to be working on creating a HUSC alumni reunion. So if you are interested in this reunion, please contact me. We'll talk about it in future GAs. But basically, we'll be dealing with a lot of event planning. There'll be a committee not just with us, but also 5 or 6 HUSC alum, people who were in HUSC back in the 90s, and the 80s, and the 70s. So if you're interested in working with alum and creating this event, definitely contact me. Thanks.
Victoria.
Okay, I have 3 announcements. So on Thursday, November 21st, from 5 to 8 p.m., HSA and APAC are hosting a movie night, and the movie will be a documentary on the secret war and the Hmong people over in the Southeastern Asian region. Food will be served. Wednesday is Trans Day of Remembrance, and Spectrum will be programming in Anderson throughout the day, so feel free to drop by and take part in that. And then on Sunday is the Hmong New Year celebration that HSA is hosting, and it will be right in here from 2 to 5.
All right, Jenny, do you have?
Yeah, as you guys know, I've already started the point system. So if you're here to represent any org on campus, thank you, please come up to me either before GA or after GA. Do not come in between GA, which starts me, but just come and check in with me because I will not be hunting down people.
Any other announcements? I have one. The HUSC, as I mentioned earlier, the HUSC scholarship is now available. It's actually 3 scholarships, $1,000 each to 1 sophomore, 1 junior, and 1 senior. All of the other requirements are on the scholarship, which is on the HUSC website. Representative Ramos.
The first year class meeting is tonight in GA 200E, where we have GA at 7 p.m. So if any upperclassmen wanted to come and check that out, please and thank you.
All right. Any other announcement? Jeremiah.
There will be a capital improvements form online, so if you want to let anyone know that if they want to fill out any capital improvements or submit any ideas or any other different things like that, it will be available on the HUSC website. Just so for those that don't want to publicly come to HUSC and talk about those different things, they can always do it via email, basically. So the form will outline what they should outline for whatever project that they're thinking about.
Any other announcements? Rachel.
I'm trying to pull up details, but SOSA has their Bollywood movie night tonight in Anderson. I believe it starts at 6. So come out if you are interested. I'm trying to pull up details. I can give you more, but fun movie food tonight here in Anderson. So.
All right. Any other announcements? Alyssa.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes.